giant, something strange happened. But the dying was not the end.
Dawn never came that morning, not because the sun failed, but because something far taller than the mountains blocked its rising. A shadow, wide as valleys, tall as the sky, moved across the land, and the world trembled beneath its footsteps. Then came the screaming, human voices, thousands of them, ripping the silence apart as the first of the Nephilim descended from the high ridges. They did not walk, they thundered. Their feet crushed huts, stone altars, and the bodies of fleeing families without slowing. Bones cracked like dry twigs under their heels. Blood sprayed in arcs that painted the ground. A mother ran with her child, but a giant's hand, broad as a chariot wheel, slammed into the earth and flattened them in a single blow. Some giants tore men apart for sport. Others hurled boulders the size of wagons into crowds, laughing as bodies burst like clay jars. The earth shook with their hunger. Their roars rolled like storms. At riverbanks, humans tried to flee in boats, only for giants to tip the waters and scoop them up like fish. Their bellies filled with human flesh, their hands dripped crimson. And above the mountains, the sky listened to the dying. The souls would not stay silent. The days when the earth bled. The women had borne giants, 10 of them, 10 monstrous offspring of angels and mortal daughters had grown into beings whose bodies defied the world that birthed them. Their shadows stretched over cities. Their breath carried the heat of furnaces. Their hunger had no limit. And because of them, the whole earth was filled with blood and unrighteousness. It began slowly, with rumors whispered between shepherds who saw towering silhouettes at dusk. Then cattle started vanishing. Then entire villages. Soon the giants walked openly, no longer hiding their size or their intent. Their feet sank deep into the soil, as if the earth itself wished to swallow them, but it could not. They were too heavy with the corruption of heaven and earth intertwined. Humans scattered, seeking mountains, caves, deserts, anywhere the giants might avoid. But the Nephilim were hunters by nature. Their nostrils flared at the scent of fear. Their eyes gleamed whenever they saw small figures running across the plains. One giant, Moslek, called the Bone Eater, would crouch beside rivers and wait silently until thirsty travelers approached. Then he would rise, blocking the sun, and laugh as they dropped their jars and fell to their knees in terror. He devoured them whole. Another, Arakiel, delighted in crushing cities beneath his knees. He would kneel on towns just to hear the screams beneath him. When he stood again, the ground glistened with the remains of hundreds. Humans had no weapons that could pierce their skin. Spears snapped, arrows shattered, fire only angered them. And so the people died. But the dying was not the end. The cry that rose from the earth, but the dying. When a human died by the hand of a giant, something strange happened. At first, it seemed like any other death, a body broken, scattered, or swallowed. But the world had become so filled with the injustice of the giants that the very air trembled with it. The souls of the slain did not drift into silence as in ancient...
Do y'all hear this, beloved? First of all, let me welcome everybody to the channel. If you are a returning brother or sister, welcome home. And if you're new to the channel, I would like to officially welcome you to your go-to YouTube station for brotherhood, sisterhood, and an attempt at righteousness. I'm not going to really do too much talking. We're watching this video together. You need to see this, okay? I will leave a link to this channel and to this particular video that we're watching. This channel that we're watching is called Unmasked Mysteries. I'll leave a link to this video in the pinned comment section, maybe even in the description. The link will be somewhere so that you can go to this channel and watch this video on your own. The reason why many of you, this sounds so far-fetched to many of you, is because the worldwide oppressor and the worldwide deceiver has raided and stolen all biblical and historical information, hoarded it to himself, added stuff in, took stuff out. So when many of you hear me going over stuff like this, some of you say I'm wicked. Some of you say I'm making stuff up. Some of you say, you shouldn't be reading other books. And I have to bring this to the forefront of your attention. All of that, you shouldn't be reading this, you shouldn't be reading that. That's the same stuff that the Catholics told us, okay? That's the same mind frame that the church put the whole world in. Don't read this, don't read that. Only read this right here. Brother, Christ is going to get you, brother. Brother, the Lord is going to get you, brother. Brother, why are you reading Enoch, brother? Brother, you don't need any other book, brother. That's the same church mindset that the Pope put us in, y'all. That's why many of you, this video we're watching right now, it sounds like we're watching some kind of sci-fi movie, which is actually the world that you live in. But because the majority of people on planet Earth listen to the Pope, and so the Pope thinks that I'm wicked, just to let you know that. And one of the chief reasons the Pope would say that I'm wicked, because I don't give a fuck about what he says I can read. I'm going to read what I want to read, because I'm looking for the truth. Whatever that is, I'm looking for it, and I'm going to find it too. None of us got to where we are. How you think we figured out that it was only Yah only? Something inside you was looking and searching, whether you knew it or not. Something deep inside you, embedded in you, regardless of what the world says, something deep inside you told you there's more. I want to know the truth. And that's how you figured out it was Yahweh only. Yahweh Akkad. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. And so you keep that same mind frame. You figured out that it was Yah only because you would not listen to what the world told you. And now I'm telling you, keep going, beloved. Do not listen to what the world tells us. You only need these books. These are the only books you need. Says who? Says the Catholic Church. That's who. The Ethiopian Jews. They got so many records over there. All praises to the Most High God, because that's you over there, nigga. Our people over there, the Judites in Ethiopia, okay, who got to be gathered as well. They kept a lot of pure records. And in a lot of their records, they accept things like Enoch, Jasher, Jubilees. But never mind that though, right? Never mind that. On this channel, we don't give a damn about what the Pope thinks or the church. And I'm going to keep drilling that. I'm going to keep drilling that until the day I leave this earth. To hell with what the Pope says. And the Pope is responsible. He's directly responsible for that. For everybody on planet Earth, the Christians, Catholics, Hebrew Israelites, only read these books right here. This is it right here. This is the only book you need. You don't need anything else. Now, you're going to tell me, especially us, beloved, as a Hebrew Israelite, we pushing the same nonsense that the Pope is pushing. That's why most people out there, this video we watching, You're going to ignore this. But guess what? There is a remnant out there who don't give a damn about what the Pope got to say. And we're going to search high and low for the Most High God. That's how we figured out it was Yah only. And we ain't stopping there. That's our foundation, Yahweh only. And now we're going to proceed further. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. New book, live on Amazon right now in ebook form, paperback in the works. New ebook, live on Amazon as we speak. Link in the description as well as the pinned comments. Y'all make sure y'all check out all the links in the video description as well as the pinned comments. Leave me a like. Let me know what you think about this video we watching. I'm probably not going to really do too much more talking for the most part. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Drop me a comment. Let me know how y'all feel about this video we watching.
Days. They tore themselves free from their ruined bodies with cries that split the wind. Every soul rose screaming, screaming in pain, screaming in fear, screaming for justice. Their cries gathered like storms. The wind carried voices that no one alive could hear without falling to their knees. If one listened long enough, one might hear a child's soft whisper, "Why did he let me die?" Or the rage of a murdered father, "Avenge my blood." They rose upward toward the mountains where the watchers once descended, toward the trembling clouds, toward the place where heaven's gates stood shut to human eyes. And as they rose, their lamentations grew louder, for heaven was listening. The giants' feast of the living. The giants, unaware of the cries of the dead, continued their rampage. Mazlek the Bone Eater strode through a forest, dragging two young men by their legs. They screamed until he slammed them into a tree, silencing them with a wet crack. He stripped bark from the forest to use as a spoon, scooping up bodies with it. Nearby, Arachio reached into a cave where dozens of families hid. He pulled them out in handfuls, shaking them over his mouth like grains. Mothers clung to their babies, elders clung to prayer, but gravity tore them apart. Their souls rose screaming. A third giant, Ramiel, created games for himself. He would chase groups of survivors through the plains. When they tired, he would walk slowly behind them, savoring their hopelessness. When they fell, he would kick them across the land, sometimes so far their bodies did not land intact. These Nephilim were kings of terror, rulers of a world drowning in cries. The earth could not bear their weight. The rivers could not wash away the blood. The mountains echoed with grief. And the heavens.
Are you listening to this? I'm really trying not to talk, but this, every time when I review things like this, it really drives the point home that much harder. This is why it was so important for the Pope to subdue the earth. Burn these books, put people to death who would read these books, and demonize them the same way people demonize us for reading other books. Not all brothers in Israel demonize us, but the majority of Hebrew Israelites out there, they demonize people who read books like Enoch, Jasher, Jubilees, just like the Catholic Church does. The Catholic Church has been running the show for thousands of years, only until these recent end times. In our lifetimes, are we seeing a remnant of people who don't give a damn about the Catholic Church or any church, and don't give a damn about none of that nonsense. Don't read this, only read that. That's Catholicism, family. We don't care about that over here. And of course, the Catholic Church has painted the narrative that anybody who steps outside of what they allow, somehow you're wicked, somehow you're a sorcerer and a warlock, which is what people say about me, It's what they say about you guys and gals, okay? And that's to keep you in line. Earth history, human history, nature history, biblical history, it's all been hidden. And it's easy to hide it when you cut yourself off from it. You cut yourself off from it by doing what you're told. Don't read this. Don't read that. Only read this. And as we've been seeing more and more these last couple of weeks, these last couple of lives, we've been reading those other books like we always do. And we keep seeing parts in Enoch, Jasher, and Jubilees where it says worship Yah only. Now, how come everybody that demonize these books, why won't they tell you that that's in there? Why won't they tell you that serve Yah only is in Enoch, is in Jasher, is in Jubilees? Why won't they tell you that? Because they also know this stuff that I'm showing you right here is in those books too. Also, the Book of Giants. The Catholic Church would have put you to death if they heard you mention that book, let alone read it. I have that book. I've read that book. And they only give it to us in fragments and say, well, we only have pieces. That's bull. They have the whole book. They give you and me fragments because they don't want you to know. These same people, descendants of these Nephilim that we watching, they run the earth right now. So you can pass this off if you want, and I'm going to try to limit my big black mouth running. Let's get back to it. I thank the Most High God that I was not on the earth in these days.
Once again felt the rising voices of those unable to rest. The gates of heaven tremble. As the souls of the slain ascended, they reached a place no living eye could see, a vast expanse before the gates of heaven, radiant yet trembling under the weight of grief. The souls gathered in thousands, then tens of thousands, then uncountable multitudes. They were translucent like morning mist, but their faces held their last moments: fear, pain, confusion, and pleading. Their voices rose in a single thunderous lament. O Lord of heaven, see what they have done. Many cried, we were innocent. We were hunted like beasts. Our children were crushed before our eyes. And the heavens shook. The angels within heard them and were troubled, but they could not act yet. For only one could answer the plea of the murdered, and he was silent. But his silence was not ignorance. His silence was waiting, measuring, observing the corruption spreading through the world. And the souls cried louder, Thou knowest all things before they come to pass. Why dost thou suffer this? Why dost thou not tell us what shall be done to them? Their lamentations rose like waves crashing upon a divine shore. Heaven stood still, and yet the giants continued to kill. The groaning earth and the rising wrath. The earth beneath the giants began to change, not suddenly, not violently, not yet, but with a slow, mourning tremor, as though the soil itself felt the weight of the blood soaking into it, as though creation, once pure, now carried too much grief to bear it silently. When a human died, the ground shuddered. When a child's soul rose crying, stones cracked. When entire villages were consumed, the mountains groaned. The world was not made for Nephilim, nor for the rivers of blood that now carved new paths across the valleys. The air turned heavy, as if choking on the cries of the slain. Animals fled from the giants long before the humans did. Packs of wolves ran alongside terrified families, their instinct screaming that something unnatural ruled the earth. At night, the stars grew dim, not because they were fading, but because the souls that ascended in torrents blocked their light. The sky itself was heavy, with human spirits rising in agony. Still the giants moved, still the giants killed, and the heavens continued to watch, silent but not indifferent. For in the higher realms a tension was forming, like a storm gathering behind a sealed door. The council of angels gathers. Far above the screams of earth and the lamentations of the souls, a council of angels assembled within a realm of pure brilliance. Their faces shone with purity, their wings, vast and radiant, filled the chambers with light so bright that no mortal could withstand even a breath of it. These were not the watchers who fell. These were not the angels who sinned with women. These were the faithful, the untainted, the guardians of divine order. They listened to the cries of the dead echoing across the heavens. How long, O Lord? How long will you let our children be devoured? How long until judgment comes? The angels bowed their heads in sorrow. One spoke, Sariel, whose voice carried the tone of mourning waters. Their cries shake the foundations of heaven. Their grief fills the chambers of eternity. Another, Phanuel, clenched his fist around his staff. The giants have defiled the earth with blood. The fallen have corrupted creation. Their wickedness cannot continue. But it was Michael, captain of the heavenly host, who stepped forward, his armor shimmering like a sun made of justice. We cannot act without the command of the Most High, Michael said. Though we hear the cries of the slain, only his word unleashes judgment. Gabriel's wings stirred.
Did you hear that? The angels was watching, hearing, seeing what's going on. They knew that they could not make a move until they get the word from Dad.
Then we must bring their cries before him. The souls of the murdered gather at the very gates. The lamentations have not ceased. Michael nodded with solemn acceptance. Then let us go. And the angels rose together, ascending deeper into the throne's radiance, where even they bowed their heads. The giant's empire of terror.
We were this close to a catastrophic.
Beloved, are you listening to what's going on? I want you to hit the like button, share this video with somebody out there. We do not subscribe to any philosophy of the Catholic Church or the Christian Church or any train of thought that tells me what I can and what I cannot read. Even when you read the Tanakh, it tells you that the Most High God hides himself and he hides information. But you're going to let somebody tell you what you can read? You do not understand the book of Proverbs. There's no way you can understand the book of Proverbs if you're going to let another person tell you what you can read when it tells you that the Most High God is his glory to hide information. And he hides himself.
Below on earth, the giants continued reshaping the world in their image. Ramil, blood of the plains, built a throne from the skulls of the villages he destroyed. It sat on a hill of bones, towering so high that even other giants approached him with caution. Children's bones formed its base. Warriors' skulls formed its arms. The elders, those who begged for mercy, were placed at the very top, their faces forever twisted in their last prayers. Ramil sat upon it like a king of ruin. Muslek, the bone-eater, strode across the coasts, dragging nets made from uprooted trees. Dozens of humans caught
it. You hear this? Dragging nets made from uprooted trees. You're not understanding this. And most of you don't even understand the Old Testament. The Old Testament bears witness to these humongous giants. It tells you in the book of Numbers, they were in their own sight as grasshoppers, as well as in the sight of these giants. the sons of Anak. That's why they were so afraid. It's amazing when I think about how we let the church brainwash us into making us think that these niggas was only 10 or 15 feet tall. It's amazing when it tells you right there in the book of Numbers, and don't let no Catholic or no Christian walk you down from that. It said what it said. In our own sight, we were as grasshoppers. Do you understand that? You were an insect. That's why they could take the trees and turn trees into nets. Do you see how small these people are in the sight of these people? They look like grasshoppers. And you can try to pull a Christian fast one. Oh no, brother. Spiritual grasshopper, brother. I've actually had, you know how many times I had Christians try to walk me down when I showed them this in the book of Numbers? It's right there in the Torah. They were in their own sight as grasshoppers. Stop trying to be a Christian and run from that. We don't run from shit over here.
Inside, screamed as he dunked them into the sea, then pulled them out half drowned
You
and
hear
swallowed
this?
them alive.
And look, you can try to pass this off all you want. No, this is fake. You shouldn't be reading this. This ain't for you. Because ignorance is truly your bliss. You would rather listen to what the Pope said, even though the book of Numbers said that they were as grasshoppers in their sight. We ain't letting nobody run away from that. Every time somebody tries to say, oh, this ain't real, well, what about the book of Numbers? The Israelites were looking like grasshoppers to these niggas out there. What you gonna do with it? You gonna try to be a Christian? No, brother. No, spiritual grasshopper, not physically. Get your weak ass out of here, man.
From uprooted trees, dozens of humans caught inside screamed as he dunked them into the sea, then pulled them out half drowned and swallowed them alive. Arachiel, flat.
And it doesn't matter who believes this or not. This is the real reason why the Most High brought the flood. You're looking at it right here. The giants nearly destroyed the whole earth. If you would read the book of Enoch or the book of Giants, you would know that. But I forgot. The Pope said don't read it. The Pope said you only need these books right here. Same thing the Christians say. Same thing many of our people say. We don't listen to that over here.
Forests in search of hiding humans. He tore up giant cedar trees by their roots and hurled them into ravines. When he found a den of survivors, he simply dropped boulders, each the size of a house, upon them and listened to their muffled cries. Each death sent another soul screaming upward. And so the sky grew crowded. But the giants could not see the souls.
Hey, shout out to Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 8, Amplified version. How can we say we know the truth? How can we say, I'm paraphrasing. You can go pull it up. Somebody drop that if you can. The book of Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 8 from the Amplified version. How can we say we know the truth? And the law and the language and the customs thereof, something like that, when the truth is the lying pen of the scribes. Oh boy. Shout out to Uncle Jeremiah. Doesn't matter who likes it. It's in the Tanakh. Jeremiah knew it, and we know it too. You can shuck and jive all you want, because this makes you uncomfortable. Oh well. This is the truth. Deal with it.
They did not hear the cries. They felt only their own power. Their laughter shook mountains. Their footsteps changed the courses of rivers. Their hunger knew no limit, and they believed themselves unstoppable. The souls at heaven's gate. Above the earth, beyond the clouds, lay a vast plain of light where the souls of the slain gathered. By now they numbered in the millions, a sea of spirits, translucent, yet filled with agony. Their eyes flickered like candle flames in a storm. Their eyes burned with grief and desperation. Some still bore the marks of their death.
Side note, once again, I got to keep chiming in, because I'm not going to let nobody who's watching this, I'm not going to let you wiggle out of this. Because most of you listen to the Pope, so all this stuff sounds foreign to you. Of course I sound wicked to you. You a Catholic for real. So of course I sound wicked to you. Before what you call the Bible was put together, which is not even one book. That's why it's so funny when I hear people say, we only need this one book right here. The Bible got many books. The Torah got many books. The Tanakh got many books. But our people actually say things like, we only need this one book. You've never only had just one book. Even if you was absolutely Torah only, without the Tanakh. The Torah is multiple books. And you don't even have all those books. The Tanakh is multiple books. You don't even have all of the Tanakh. You've never had just one book. I'm not going to let anybody who's watching this wiggle out of this. You ain't wiggling out of shit. Not today. And doesn't matter who likes it, whether you know it or not. Before what you call the Bible, which many of you think is one book. I don't know how you can think something like that. Before what you call the Bible got put together, the book of Enoch was that book. It was the Bible. But of course, this is evil. It's wicked. Just like the Pope wants you to say. So go ahead and side with the Pope. I'm not mad at you. I just know you haven't shaken off Catholicism yet. But I have. And I'm not stopping. This is the truth, whether you like it or not.
A crushed chest, a missing arm, a broken neck, a body torn in half. But in heaven, they no longer felt physical pain, only the torment of injustice. They pressed their hands against the radiant gates, not to enter, but to cry out, "You see all things, O Lord. You knew this before it came to pass. Why do you suffer this evil to grow?"
And they ain't talking about JC. You notice none of these books is talking about JC. Even though they try to force him in there, just like they did with the Torah and the Tanakh.
Tell us, what shall be done to the giants who have destroyed us? The gates trembled, not from weakness, but from the sheer force of their lamentation. Never in the history of creation had so many innocent souls cried out at once. Their voices rolled like thunder across the heavenly realms. Even the faithful angels who guarded the gates felt their strength falter. These souls would not depart. They could not rest. They would not be silent, not until judgment came. The first sign of divine preparation. Back on Earth, the giants began to sense something changing. Arakiel paused while crossing a burnt village. For the first time in his life, he felt cold. Not from wind, but from something beneath the surface of the earth. Thunder rumbled from a cloudless sky. Mazlek lifted his head as the sea churned unnaturally, waves rising without wind. Ramil, seated on his throne of skulls, felt the bones vibrate. The earth was warning them. A whisper, so faint it barely brushed their corrupted minds. Judgment is coming. They did not understand it. They had never feared anything before. They had never known resistance. But something ancient, powerful, and holy was stirring. And far above them, in the highest heaven, the Most High finally opened his mouth to speak. A single breath of his voice rippled across creation. The angels fell to their knees. The souls at the gates trembled in expectation. The mountains bowed. The stars quivered. For the first time since the giants walked the earth, God spoke. When God spoke, and the giants trembled. The moment the voice of the Most High moved through creation, everything, seen and unseen, fell silent.
Whoa. The voice of who? Whose voice? Was it Christ? Was it JC? Was it Yeshua? Whose voice?
The moment the voice of the Most High moved through creation.
Oh, okay. Just like I thought, Most High only.
When God spoke, and the giants trembled. The moment the voice of the Most High moved through creation, everything, seen and unseen, fell silent. The giants froze mid-stride. Birds dropped from the sky. Rivers stilled. Mountains bowed their peaks as if bending to a king. Even the wind stopped breathing. The voice...
Y'all ain't listening. This is the power of Yahweh. Yahweh alone. If you actually would read the book of Enoch, the book of Giants, Jasher, Jubilees, you would know some of these things. And we still don't have all our books. One thing we do not allow the Pope to influence what we do at all.
It was not loud. It did not thunder. It did not roar. It whispered. Yet the whisper weighed more than worlds. The cry of the innocent has ascended before me. Muslek stumbled backward, pressing his massive hands to his ears. He had never heard a voice shake his bones from the inside. Arakel clutched his head, screaming, "Stop it! Stop it! What is this sound?" Ramel fell from his skull throne, the bones scattering like dry leaves around him. But the voice continued, quiet yet unstoppable. The blood of the earth speaks. The souls of the slain have not ceased. I have heard. The giants looked around wildly, searching for the source. Yet the sound came from every direction, from the sky, from the earth, from the very air. And then they felt a sensation they had never known since their birth. Fear. For they finally understood. God had taken notice, and he was displeased. In heaven, God answers the souls. At the radiant gates of heaven, millions of souls knelt as the light of the throne poured over them. The divine presence washed across the plain like gold fire. Then, the Most High spoke to them directly. Children of dust, your cries have reached the edge of eternity. I have seen your suffering. I have heard your lamentations. I know what has been done to you. The souls began to weep, some with relief, others with awe. A mother whose child had been ripped from her arms whispered, "Will you avenge us?" A young shepherd whose skull had been crushed by a giant's heel sobbed, "Will you stop them from destroying the world?" A tremor of divine power pulsed from the throne. "Justice is mine, and justice shall come swiftly." Thunder rolled across the plain of heaven, not loud, but deep, eternal, righteous. The souls bowed low. But then God continued with a solemn warning. "The giants you fear, I did not create them. They are the union of angels who rebelled and women who were deceived. Their nature is corruption." A ripple swept through the souls. "Because they were not born from my will, but from rebellion, they shall not remain." And with that decree, a shadow moved across heaven, not darkness, but the shadow cast by something vast, unstoppable, and holy. Judgment had begun its descent. The
Catalina Crunch Granola, protein.
Beloved, I hope that somebody out there is being edified by this. Even though you're going to get a lot of flack. That's why I know some people are going to watch this. They're not going to comment because they don't want other people to know that they watch my channel. And I understand. But we deal with hardcore reality around here. No matter how painful it is, you don't know what kind of world that you live on. Here we go.
The giants realize they are hunted. Back on Earth, the giants tried to regain their composure. Mazlek the Bone Eater shook his massive head and roared into the sky. "Show yourself! Who speaks? We fear no voice." But when he struck the ground with his fist, the earth did not echo his power. Instead, the soil recoiled from him. The ground refused to support him. Arakelk attempted to crush a village fleeing at the base of his mountain, but when he lifted his foot, he stumbled, his balance faltered, something he had never experienced. He crashed into the mountainside, splitting stone. Ramel, angered and humiliated, tried to rebuild his throne of skulls, but every skull he lifted crumbled to dust in his hands. It was as if creation itself rejected them. "Something is wrong," Ramel growled. "We are weaker." Mazlek tossed aside a boulder. "No, the world has changed." Arakel snarled. "Nonsense! I am the strongest of us. I cannot be." He froze mid-sentence. For the first time in his existence, his heart trembled. A cold swept through his colossal frame, and a whisper brushed against his ear that was not human, not wind, not beast. "Your end is written." Arakel stumbled backward. "Who said that? Who?" But no one answered.
Do you see this? And see, many of you cannot handle this. You know what you're going to do? You're going to watch this and you're going to say, "See, I told you, Mr. Real Talk is wicked. Look, he's pushing other books, pushing the Enoch, pushing the Book of Giants, yada, 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 yada." Even though a lot of these other so-called books were found with the Dead Sea Scrolls. But you accept the Dead Sea Scrolls when you want to. But when we bring out all these other books that were right there with the Dead Sea Scrolls, but you choose to reject that. Why? Because the Pope told you to. This channel right here is an anti-religious channel.
Only the sky watched. Only heaven waited. The giants began to realize they were being hunted. The heavens unleashed.
With these other books, it makes a lot more sense now. You can get mad all you want. These other books fill in a lot of holes because there are a lot of holes in our scriptures because of Jeremiah 8:8, amplified version. The lying pen of the scribes. So there you go. But most of y'all don't even want to deal with Jeremiah 8:8 because you're afraid. Even though it's right there, you want to hopscotch over it and leapfrog over it. I'm not allowing you to do that on this channel. We're not going to hopscotch and leapfrog over no scripture when Jeremiah said that these niggas lied.
Their warriors. For countless centuries, the watchers who sinned were imprisoned. Their children, the giants, roamed freely because no judgment had yet been decreed. But now, the decree had come, and with it, the gates of heaven opened. A roar, holy, pure, unstoppable, rolled across the spiritual realms. Michael descended first, his sword blazing like a star on fire. Behind him came Gabriel with a horn of judgment at his side. Then Raphael, whose presence healed creation simply by approaching. Sardiel and Uriel moved like living storms. And behind them, an army of angels that stretched further than mortal eyes could see. Each step they took down the divine staircases shook the worlds. Each beat of their wings stirred winds on earth. Each flash of their armor reflected God's wrath. The souls of the slain watched and cried out with joy, "Avenge us, O Lord!" And God answered, "My servants descend. Justice shall walk the earth." The earth prepared for battle. Before the angels even touched the ground, the world began tearing itself away from the giants. Rivers flowed in reverse. Trees bent away from their footpaths. Mountains cracked under their weight. The animals of the earth, lions, wolves, eagles, serpents, all fled in the same direction, guided by instinct older than memory. Even the wind shifted. It no longer carried the scent of fear, but the scent of judgment.
When the Most High God wants to come to brutally kill you, even if you a big bad Nephilim giant, when the Most High wants you to be afraid, you are going to be afraid. And contrary to popular belief out there, because like I said, I already know some black demonic niggas out there in the nation of Israel. They spreading vicious, heinous lies about me. And if they could, they would take me out. Once again, how do I know that? The Most High God revealed these things to me. Okay? Doesn't matter who believes it. I'm just sharing with you what I know. And I also know when the Most High wants you to be terrified, he will put fear in you. How do I know that? Because the Most High has made me terrified before. I'm petrified of the Most High God. Okay, believe it or not. Because I know a lot of you saying, oh, no, you're not. You're a sorcerer. You're a witchcraft. If you knew what I knew, you would know that I'm petrified. I would never step foot near any sorcery or witchcraft because I know how the Most High God gets down because he's done things to me to make me afraid. So you need to understand what kind of world you live in, and that's why you're watching this video right now. You better thank the Most High God that you were not on the earth in these days to be victimized by these giants who were literally, they almost destroyed the whole earth. And that is the real main reason why the Most High brought the flood. You got to understand this. He didn't just decide to wipe every person out on planet Earth just because they made him a little bit upset. This thing is much more bigger than what we know. But you don't know because the Pope doesn't want you to. The Pope said, hey, only read these books right here that I have viciously and heavily edited. You only need these books that I said is okay. We don't give a damn about the Pope.
Giants looked around bewildered. Mazlet growled, the world rebels against us. Arakel clutched his chest. The power in my limbs is fading. Ramel raised his fists to the sky. We were born to rule. But no answer came. Instead, light streaked across the heavens. Not lightning, not...
Can you imagine if you were one of these giants, how long they were alive, terrorizing the planet Earth, and then all of a sudden you feel your body get weaker with no explanation?
Fire. Angels. Descending like meteors. Descending like blades. Descending like the answer to 1,000,000 murdered souls. The giants shielded their eyes from the brilliance. And for the first time in their lives, they knew the meaning of dread.
The execution of the giants and the rest of the souls. They fell from the sky like spears of living fire. Angels, thousands upon thousands, piercing the air with wings made of judgment. The Nephilim, once lords of the earth, once unstoppable terrors, once gods in their own minds, could not comprehend the power descending upon them. Michael struck the earth first. The moment his feet touched soil, all creation shuddered. His sword ignited in pure white fire, the kind no mortal flame could imitate, the kind that burns sin itself. The giant stumbled backward as the captain of heaven rose to his full height, towering, radiant, terrifying. Michael's voice cracked the sky. This is the judgment of the Most High. A shockwave blasted.
The judgment of who?
Terrifying. Michael's voice cracked the sky. This is the judgment of the Most High. A shockwave blasted outward, flinging dust and mountains alike. Moslik the Bone Eater roared and charged, swinging a felled cedar tree like a club. Michael didn't parry. He didn't dodge. He simply moved. And in a single flash, Moslik's arm fell to the ground. The giant howled, choking on his own shock as he stared at the stump where his limb had been. No giant had ever been wounded before. But this was not a battle of flesh. This was holy judgment. Moslik barely had time to blink before Michael's second strike severed his head.
That's right.
The massive corpse toppled, creating an earthquake as it hit the earth. The execution had begun. The slaughter of the Nephilim. All across the world, angels and giants collided. Gabriel descended upon a cluster of giants who were tearing apart a caravan of fleeing humans. His horn sounded, a blast so powerful it ripped through the giants' minds. They collapsed, clutching their skulls, shrieking like wounded beasts as blood poured from their ears. Gabriel raised his hand, and lightning, not the lightning of storms, but the lightning of heaven, fell from the sky, turning the giants into pillars of ash. Raphael waded into a burning forest where Arachiel towered over a group of trapped humans. Raphael's presence alone extinguished the flames, calmed the earth, and healed the wounded. Arachiel roared, lifting an enormous boulder to smash Raphael. But Raphael stepped forward and touched the boulder with 2 fingers. It dissolved into dust. Arachiel froze. Raphael spoke, his voice as soft as a breeze. Your corruption ends now. His staff struck the ground, and a fissure opened beneath Arachiel's feet. The giant screamed as he fell into the chasm, claws scraping against rock, before the earth sealed over him like a mouth snapping shut. He was buried alive, condemned until the final judgment. Other giants attempted to flee, but they could not outrun the angels.
Now look, imagine this. These giants have been pillaging, killing, destroying, eating people, eating animals. They have never been wounded, never been hunted, and now they are so scared they are running. See, at some point, you may be able to get away for a long time. But at some point, every person out there that defies the Most High Yahweh, he's going to send them hitters to come and snuff you out. No matter how big and bad you are. You ain't seen nobody bigger and badder than these giants. And you see what the angels doing to them.
Ariel unleashed winds sharper than blades, slicing through their legs and bringing them crashing down like felled towers. Uriel blinded them with beams of holy fire, their monstrous eyes boiling in their sockets. The earth drank their blood. The mountains shook as their bodies fell. The skies echoed with their death cries. For the first time since their creation, the Nephilim knew pain. They knew death. They knew defeat.
You cannot imagine
the fall of Ramiel, king of the skull throne. Only one giant remained unconquered. Ramiel, blood of the plains, self-proclaimed king. He watched the destruction of his brethren with a mixture of fury and dread. He had believed himself invincible.
Now, if you would read the book of Enoch like they told you not to, you would know that the Most High sent the angels and to make the Nephilim turn on each other. So not only was the angels slaying these things, they made them fight each other and turn on each other. When the Most High sends that judgment, it's ugly. And like I said, this is the real reason that flood had to come.
He had believed the world belonged to him. But when Michael approached, sword blazing brighter than stars,
And y'all notice Michael is the archangel that specifically stands up and fights for the Israelites. Yeah.
Raphael stepped backward and backward and backward until he hit the mound of bones that had once been his throne. Michael pointed his sword at him. Your cruelty filled the earth. Your hands shaped a throne out of the skulls of God's children. You fed the rivers with the blood of innocence. Ramiel shook his head, snarling in desperation. I was born to rule. You cannot kill what the Watchers created. Michael lifted his sword.
Do you see this? These giants knew who they were. And see, you can't get everything in one video. Not only was these things huge in stature and size and a lust for blood, human and animal, they also were excellent masters at witchcraft.
Watchers are already judged. And then he lifted his other hand, and the sky ignited. From the heavens descended chains of pure judgment, blazing like molten gold. They wrapped around Ramiel's arms, legs, and throat. The giant thrashed wildly, roaring so loudly that the valley split open. The chains tightened. Ramiel's knees struck the ground. He screamed, "No, I will not bow. I am..." But his voice was cut off as Michael's sword fell.
That's right.
Ramiel's head rolled down the hill of bones.
That's right.
And the earth exhaled for the first time in 1,000 years.
Woo!
The earth purifies itself. With the giants slain, their bodies began to decay unnaturally fast. They dissolved into tar-like shadows, then into dust that the winds carried away. Forests grew back with unnatural speed. Rivers cleared. Mountains repaired their cracked faces. Even the air felt cleaner, lighter, holy. Animals crept out from hiding, testing the world with cautious steps. The earth itself seemed relieved. But one final task remained. The souls find rest. In heaven, the souls of the ancient humans watched as the angels slaughtered the giants who ended their lives. They saw Moslik fall. They saw Arakiel buried. They saw Ramiel beheaded. They saw judgment come. And their cries that had shaken heaven itself, softened. Michael ascended from the battlefield and stood before the gates where the souls waited. His armor was stained with giant blood that shimmered like hot mercury. He bowed his head to the souls. It is done. Your murderers have been destroyed.
Do you see this? And look, it does not matter who likes this. This is reality. When you actually die, you are not really dead. You're dead in this world that we're in. You are dead to the physical realm. Yes, you are. But you are very much alive when you die. We've read that in the book of Esdras. What happens to a man or a woman the very second you come up out of your body, according to Esdras. We've read that already. When you die, you leave this earth, you are not really dead. You are only dead to the people in this world. You're actually more alive than you have ever been as soon as you come up out of these bodies. And you're hearing this right now. Some of you, you just can't believe what you're hearing right now. Because you only read the books that the Pope said you could.
Softened. Michael ascended from the battlefield and stood before the gates where the souls waited. His armor was stained with giant blood that shimmered like hot mercury. He bowed his head to the souls. It is done. Your murderers have been destroyed. Your suffering has been avenged. Your children will live. The souls began to glow, one by one.
Listen to that.
Hundreds, thousands, millions.
Woo!
The gates opened wide, not because of their cries this time, but because they were finally being welcomed home.
Do you see this? Do you see this? I know this is too heavy for many of you out there, You gonna say he's wicked, the Most High gonna get you, you pushing false books, Okay, go ahead and just be a good little Catholic, all right? This is reality. You don't know what kind of world you live in because the Pope made you cover your eyes. We opening our eyes over here, whether you like it, understand it, agree with it or not. This is reality right here. And this is why they could never have you read these books.
Military. He bowed his head to the souls. It is done. Your murderers have been destroyed. Your suffering has been avenged. Your children will live. The souls began to glow, one by one.
I bet they did.
Hundreds, thousands, millions.
Can you imagine?
The gates opened wide, not because of their cries this time, but because they were finally being welcomed home. Golden light washed over them, warm as a mother's embrace. The shepherd boy who'd been crushed smiled for the first time since death. The mother whose child was devoured clutched her little one, now restored and whole. The warriors, the elders, the children, all stepped through the gates, guided by angels. And the gates of heaven closed gently behind them. Their lamentations ceased. Their pain dissolved. Their tears dried. They were finally at peace.
Hallelujah.
And the earth was quiet again. The angels remained a little longer, watching the healed world, ensuring every trace of Nephilim corruption had been wiped away. Only when the last shadow of a giant faded did they ascend. The earth was silent, but it was a good silence, a healing silence, free from terror, free from blood,
Yes.
free from the footsteps of giants. And in the heavens, the Most High looked down upon the restored world.
That's right.
And said, "Let mankind rise again. From the ashes of destruction, from the terror of the giants, from the cries of the slain, humanity would begin anew."
Hallelujah. 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 Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Check out all the links in the video description as well as the pinned comment. Be sure to check out all the links. I hope you were edified, beloved. I'm out.